Hi, welcome to SoCali's Wrestling. In this beautiful weather here in California, we are probably a rainy day or a sprinkly day. I don't know, we were having spring weather here in the SoCal region. So we have a new guest today, which is Hawlee Layne. Am I saying this? Or Hawlee Layne?
Hawlee Layne. Good.
So how you been doing, Holly?
I'm good. It's been pretty good since being down there a week ago.
And and that was Rice too, correct?
Yeah, that was Rise 2. It was great experience being down there. That was the first time I ever went for a seminar, and I really enjoyed it.
Was that your first time being in California? Or wrestling in California?
Yeah, that was my first time wrestling in California. I'd never gone down there for wrestling before.
But have you only been wrestling in Washington?
I wrestled in Washington and Oregon, and I have opportunity in Canada, but I haven't been there yet for it.
Well, right now we're recording at the same date as the Super Bowl weekend. Well, right now we're the Super Bowl day. So, if I may ask, are you going to be watching the Super Bowl?
I'm not really a big football fan. The only time I ever really watched the Super Bowl was when the Seahawks were in it.
And you guys support your own Washington State Seahawks, correct?
Right? Yeah.
No, don't worry. We'll see how the Seahawks are going to do for next season.
We're hoping that they get back in it.
Is there a typical team like from the Patriots and Atlanta Falcons to win, or you don't care? It's like whoever wins wins.
Whoever wins. I know I don't really watch football a whole lot.
And your only sport is just wrestling, correct? That's the only thing you gotta watch.
Yeah, that's the only thing I really watch is wrestling. Just nothing but wrestling, really.
Were you athletic? Were you in sports teams? Were you before you wrestled?
I wasn't. I was interested in baseball and softball, but I never really played them.
So it's like more just like a hobby kind of thing than just actually be like in a team.
Yeah.
But what made you choose wrestling? Because I know some wrestlers they kind of watching as little kids, or even start off as their teenager or being a late adult, like with friends pushing you to be a wrestler. What made you choose to be a wrestler, by the way?
I've loved wrestling since I was a little kid. It's something that since I was probably 10 years old, I was like, I'm going to do that. That's going to be what I do for the rest of my life.
A typical wrestler you kind of follow through today or from the past?
Yeah, I watch a lot of I'm not really up to date with a lot that's going on right now. I watch a lot more of like the older stuff and like from like the 90s. I've been watching a lot more of that.
When you were seeing the '90s, were you talking about the retro era of like WWE, or is it the
Yeah,
WCW?
I watch a lot of like retro WWF, WCW, like that kind of stuff.
And were you a big fan of the Attitude Era?
I was a fan of it. I was really young during it, so I didn't. I it's more of I'm watching it now older, but I really enjoy it watching it. Yeah.
And you can tell the big difference between today's wrestling versus the back in the wrestling of the Attitude Era. And to me, I kind of grew up also I'm not too familiar with the Attitude Era, but I'm more familiar with the Ruthless Aggression Era when they had the Eddie Guerrero,
Mm-hmm.
the Chris Benoit, the Kurt Angles, and then you had the Brock Lesnar and Cena and Batista, Randy Orton. Like I kind of more familiar with those guys. And the Attitude Era, I kind of was like off and off kind of thing because again, some people
Mm-hmm.
didn't have cable. And some we do, but again, now having the WWE Network, that's easy for us to look back at all those episodes we didn't have a chance to see as a kid.
Exactly. That's mainly what I do. I go back and watch like classic episodes of Raw, classic episodes of SmackDown, Nitro, anything that I can watch on there.
Did you have like a favorite wrestler and you kind of followed again from the past or present?
My favorite wrestler has always been Shawn Michaels. I know it's like stereotypical answer, but he's always been my like hero.
And we don't hear a lot of majority of people saying, "Oh, the Bret Hart." It's like, "Oh, more the Bret Hart than Shawn Michaels."
Mm-hmm.
So, how long have you been wrestling, by the way?
I've been having matches for a year, but I've been training for 2 years now.
Where did you start your wrestling school at?
I train in Everett, Washington at the Hawlee Layne Academy.
I was gonna say, did you ever? Well, because you're in Washington State, and then also there's a big famous wrestler who's from Washington State, which it's the general manager of SmackDown, which is Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan.
Did you ever have a chance to meet Daniel Bryan?
I haven't, and it's something that I of course would love to do, just because he's from around here, and it'd be really, that's something I really want to do, is be able to meet him.
And then he was trained by also your favorite wrestler too, Shawn Michaels, by the way.
He was, yes.
It was like, what a coincidence. It's like you live in Washington State, and your favorite wrestler, Shawn Michaels, and then you want to meet Daniel Bryan, who's also trained by Shawn Michaels. Look at that. It's the circle of life. So Hawlee, so you chose the path of being a wrestler, but why did you not choose like a career of or did you finish school, by the way? Did you finish high school? Did you have a degree in college?
I finished high school, and I never went to college, because it's not something that I wanted to do, because I knew that wrestling was what I wanted to do, and so I didn't want anything to take away from that. I didn't want to have any distractions from wrestling.
How'd your parents feel, or your friends, when you told them, like, hey, I'm gonna become a wrestler right after high school?
My friends have always been kind of like skeptical about it. My parents are very happy for me, because they know I love it, they know I enjoy doing it, and they were wrestling fans, so they love seeing me do it.
Were they there also in your first match too, like kind of be sitting at the front row, kind of supporting you, and it's like, oh, like there goes Hawlee. It's like, oh, we gotta support Hawlee and everything she does, even though some might be skeptical to you, saying, oh, I don't want her to be a wrestler, but that's her choice to be, if that's her thing she likes to do, so like, so be it.
They've always been supportive. Like, they were definitely there for my first match. I could definitely hear them like yelling, and it's good to have support. So I know, like, it's kind of hard to have support, especially for wrestling, because a lot of people are skeptical about it. So it's really nice to have my family's support on it.
Do you recall your first match when your parents there, again, your friends being also watching your first match? Did you feel hesitant, or was it the wrestler, like, you felt comfortable? Can you tell me your experience from your first match?
Well, I always, like, with all my matches, I'm always nervous, but then once I'm out there, I'm completely relaxed and fine. So with my first match, I didn't know my parents were there at first, because I didn't see them, and then after a while, I saw them out there, and so I didn't have time to be nervous, because I was already in the match, wrestling, doing it, so I couldn't really just all of a sudden get nervous and freeze up in the middle of it.
Who did you wrestle in your first match?
We had it was an 8-man tag in Washington, so it was me, my trainer, Buddy Wayne, and a couple of other guys I trained with versus 4 other guys that I trained with. So it was all people that I'm used to.
So it was just pure guys, and you were the only female in the 8-man tag?
Yeah, for up until probably May last year, I was the only girl that trained where I train. I was the only girl they ever trained before then.
And again, did you feel hesitant? Like, oh, there's no girls, so how can I be trained with guys who are more stronger than me, powerful than me, but still, females are more intellectual, so they can get away with things?
It was definitely a lot of pressure, because I knew how there's not a lot of girls around here, and so I was a lot of pressure training. But after a while, it just became second nature. All the guys were super cool about me being there, and I trained just the same as all of them, so it's not like they have to stop and do anything differently for me because I'm so small. It's like they don't have to do anything different, because I'm trained the same as they are.
And also, like, you kind of said this earlier in the interview about you weren't the athletic type, like, you were into the sport, but you were, as an athlete, was it that hard to transition?
It was definitely hard. It was definitely hard. it was like my biggest thing that was hard was my cardio, because I've never really done a sport, so I've never really had good cardio built up. So that was definitely the hardest thing that I've had to work on.
Of course, you might have a match you can go from 5 minutes, 10 minutes to 20 to 30, probably an hour. You might do an Iron Man match, or I should say Iron Woman match, and see if you can take for an hour and see if you can actually compete and beat Brya. But then we can, as fans, we can tell you like this person is so tired. Um, she's not gonna wrestle, or she's gonna just be bouching all the time. So, but it's good to have cardio within the wrestling business. That is a main thing to have. Period.
Definitely, because it's such a, like you said, it's such a big thing, especially for like long matches, like Iron Man matches or 30-minute matches. It's such like a huge thing to have, to be able to go the distance without just completely shutting down and being like done.
And how many matches do you have so far? As from today,
After the Rise weekend, I've had 5 matches now.
you only had 5 matches,
I've had 5 matches.
and you're fresh out from. Did you wrestle at Rise 1, by the way?
No, Rise 2 was the first one that I'd been to.
Well, Rise. I was there for Rise 2, so I was familiar with you, Lane Rosario, aka Derby Doll, Angel Dust, and also the vets like Soraya Knight, Mercedes Martinez, and the top hit indie star in California is Nicole Savoy. And how did you feel about having all these various wrestlers from the rookies to up to getting to their top peak, and also having the veterans being out there at Rise 2?
I was definitely nervous because I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of anyone, because I'm so new and so fresh, and a lot of those people have probably had a lot more matches than me. And so I definitely felt a lot of nervousness being around all those people who I know have a lot more experience than I do.
And you were there for also the seminar, correct? The Rise seminar they had.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
What did you learn from? Because the seminar was with all the amateur and also the top indie wrestlers who want to get more experience with the veterans like Colt Cabana and Soraya Knight, who was in charge of the seminar, and then also it was promoted by Kevin Harvey, who was known from Shimmer. So how did you feel about that seminar? I mean, those two big names.
I was really excited about it. Like, the whole reason that I signed up for it, because I wanted to learn from Soraya. I love her. I've always wanted to train with her. So I was really excited to learn from her and Colt Cabana, who's been everywhere and knows just about anything that you could want to know from wrestling. And so I was really excited to get to the opportunity to learn from those two.
Do you follow the indie wrestling when you actually before you start as a wrestler? Did you follow indie wrestling before you?
Not so much before I started wrestling. Now I try and follow like Evolve and what's happening in like Shimmer and Shine. I try to do it more now, but before I started wrestling, I didn't really know what was going on in the indies a whole lot.
Again, because some people kind of just want to watch the WWE and the bigger promotions like TNA. ROH is also a big indie promotion, but then you have the other lower class indie promotions. Not people know as much, and then also if you start as a wrestler and you don't know them, that kind of takes it as offensive in a way. But I'm glad sorry about that. I'm glad you were kind of learning from the watching those lower indie promotions and also the top indie promotions. See, so you kind of be respectful to the wrestler who came to Evolve or Shimmer or the Shine or the other promotions like Dragon Gate USA or WSU.
I definitely now, especially more because I'm trying to get out there more and trying to have my name out there more. I definitely watch a lot more of the indie promotions because I want to know what's going on. I want to know who the people are so that I don't disrespect anyone in a way, so it's not like I don't know who they are because they're out there.
Do you have a favorite indie promotion, by the way, if you follow?
I think the one that I follow the most has to be Evolve.
Do you have friends involved, or do you just watch it? Period. It's like something about it that kind of.
I have a friend that works for Evolve, yeah.
Is he a wrestler too?
Yes, he is.
Who's the wrestler, by the way?
It's Darby Allin.
I haven't been watching Evolve as much as I should be, because again, I should get the WWE in Live Network, you should say, because I've been having the WWE Network, following the ROH. And we also have an indie promotion here, SoCal, called PCW AWS,
Okay.
which Rise 2 was with AWS.
Yes, it was.
And then
I would love that. That's one place I would love to work for as well as the AWS, because everyone down there was super nice. The promoter for it, he's super cool, super nice.
Do you have a set of goals for you, Hawlee? Do you want, again, you only have 5 matches.
Mhm. My
I
goal
want to go back before I say the goals. Who did you wrestle for the 5 matches, by the way?
My 5 match.
It was the 8-man tag, the first.
I had the 8-man tag. My second match was. Oh goodness. My second match was also in Washington with one of the guys I trained with named Big Jack Cunningham. My third match was in Seattle, again with me and this girl I trained with named Rebel Kel versus Big Jack Cunningham and another guy around here, Kingpin Johnny Flynn. And then my fourth match was me and the girl Rebel Kel again versus Big Jack Cunningham and his partner Carl Cunningham. And then my fifth match was the one I had at Rise against Ruby Reyes.
And that was your first single match was at Rise 2?
And it was the first match I've ever had with a girl, actually.
Well, your first singles match and the first girl you actually competed, and you're all tag team and they were singles. Again, did it feel like it's like wow? You felt nervous about that? Now you have more responsibility. Is you not having somebody else behind you as your tag team partner?
I definitely had a lot of it was definitely a lot of nervousness and a lot of pressure because it was the first time that I was the least experienced in a match, because most of the time when I wrestle in tag teams with the other girl, she hasn't been around as long as I have, so I'm usually have a little bit more experience. So this was my first time being like the least experienced, and like it was my first singles match really, and so it was I felt a lot of pressure in it actually.
Because you can't screw up, especially promotion is barely starting. Like the cousin to Shimmer, which is Rise again. Rise is all about female getting the opportunity to go to bigger promotions and be known worldwide in the United States, in Japan, Germany, Mexico, Canada, anywhere that has wrestling. Like you want your name to be out there.
Definitely. I definitely want. That was one of my main goals for doing Rise, because I've never traveled out. I've never gone outside of the Pacific Northwest for wrestling really, and so I wanted to get out there and as myself and be able to experience it.
Is there a lot of wrestling in the Washington state?
There's not a ton of wrestling around here. We have like a small promotion called SCW. We have a promotion called Project 42 that runs every few months. We have a new one called Defy that runs every so often. But there's not a whole lot of wrestling in Washington. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through with the commission, so it's really hard to have wrestling in Washington.
And I don't know if it's Oregon or Washington. Do you have a show called WCPW? Haven't seen it right?
We have a show in Oregon called WC, I believe.
Okay. And you didn't have a chance to go from Washington to Oregon to see to also that promotion that I mentioned that?
I've wrestled in Oregon at a promotion called DOA, but it's the only one I've really done in Oregon.
So, again, there's not a lot of wrestling promotions out in Washington. Very little. Is it because of not a lot of wrestling fans are out there, or is it small? What do you think it's the reason why they're not wrestling as much as Washington State versus California? We have a ton of it.
I'm not really. I'm not really sure why there's not a whole lot of wrestling in Washington, because granted, I've only been around it for 2 years, and before that, I didn't know of anything that was going on around here. So it might be just the lack of fans, or it might be the lack of promotion, because you don't really know about it. Unless you know about it, you're not really aware of what's going on around here, because it's not really like an open out thing, kind of.
Well, again, you've been living in Washington your whole entire life, am I right?
Yes.
Did you ever thought of leaving from Washington State to go to actual state where there was a ton of wrestling, so you can be more into more known environment to yourself and to, well, again, to you?
That's definitely one of my goals that I want to do. I thought of going to California to live because of more wrestling. I have some friends that live in Orlando, which is like hotbed of wrestling right now, and so I have thought of going there to live also. I do definitely want to get out of Washington so that I'm around it more, because there isn't a lot to do with wrestling around here.
And then you kind of said a friend in Florida. Is it Derby Doll? Who I kind of heard a little rumor that you kind of were friends with her, and then you might go to Florida State just to go like a little WWE tryout. Am I wrong?
Definitely, she definitely is my friend, and she's definitely one of my friends that I have down there. And I would love to say that if I had a tryout, that'd be amazing, but that's not something that I have right now.
Is that too soon for you to have? Well, even though you have 2 years experience with the wrestling ring, it's like you don't want to do WWE, not yet, right? You want to have like a couple more years of experience.
I definitely want to have more experience before I even attempt to go near WWE, because I have 2 years, and that is a good amount, but I'm not completely confident in myself yet, and that's something that I'm working towards. And so I definitely want to get more indie experience and more just experience overall before I even try to have any kind of tryouts anywhere.
Hawlee, what is your goals for 2017? Or goals in period for the not even passing 2017?
My goal right now is, of course, to get more experience. I want to travel more. I want to go more places for wrestling. And it's one of my, of course, everyone has the goal of they want to get to the biggest stage of wrestling. They want to get to WWE. But my main goal right now is I want to work the indies anywhere as much as possible to gain more knowledge, more experience. I would love to work the indies more. That's my main goal right now.
Again, you were saying your goal also the indies. Is there a typical promotion you want to be? It's like, hey, that's on my bucket list kind of thing. Also,
I would love to work for Shimmer, of course. I'd love to go work for Shine. I'd love to do like WSU. Yeah, I'd love to do.
I know what you're trying to say. But
My brain's in Washington right now. Sorry about that, but I would love to work as many women's promotions that I could, and I'd love to work as many. I'd love to work Shimmer. That's like one of my main goals right now, is to work Shimmer.
You worked for Rise only one time. Do you know how that works from Rise to Shimmer? Like, is there kind of a conversion to if you wrestle for Rise for a certain amount of period, or you did some great work that you get a spot as Shimmer? Is that right?
I'm actually not sure.
And the reason I say that because I want to say one of your colleagues, Britt Baker, she only wrestled for Rise for twice, and suddenly she got a spot at Shimmer.
I saw that, and it's so cool for her to get to go from one to the other so quickly.
And I don't know if she wrestled for too long, or she raised a vet. It's like I don't know as much as Britt Baker, but I should, which I will like to have her for the next interview, or probably for a couple months. Let's see how it works. But doesn't that give you like gets instead of firing you, it's like, well, if she can do it, it's like, and also being competitive. All wrestlers are competitive. They want to be bigger. They want to be bigger, the better than the rest. You know, well, that kind of stands out.
It definitely does light a fire under me because I'm planning on doing the next Rise when it's in Chicago in July, I believe. And I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I would definitely. It definitely lights a fire to want to do more of them since she moved from Rise to Shimmer so quickly. It definitely lights the fire to want to do more of them in the chance that you could get the same opportunity.
It's like, well, that will if you be very great in what you do in your skills. Again, you've been there for 2 years, but again, you gotta get better in your craft.
Mhm.
But as Shimmer is your first priority as one of your goals.
Shimmer, definitely one of my top priorities right now in my set of goals.
And did you see all the episodes of Shimmer, or did you very started like probably like episode 30 or so?
I'm really I'm still really like new to Shimmer. I haven't watched a whole lot of it, and I'm trying to go back and watch more of them. I'm still really new to what's going on in Shimmer.
I was about to say is like if anybody from Shimmer or Shine that you like to compete, like your future opponent, like who you would like to wrestle in Shimmer or Shine.
I know one person that I definitely really want to wrestle is Chelsea Green, because I know her from being around here, and she's someone that I've seen wrestle before, and I would love to get a chance to work her.
So she's your only one you want to wrestle with?
She's a main one right now. I don't really have a whole lot of like a list of people that I really want to work because that's not something I think about a whole lot right now just because I am so new still.
Well, I gotta say this before we end this up because I think we kind of said who is Hawlee Layne, but I want to say this. I know you gotta get a laugh about this. I was again. I'm talking to one of your colleagues, and then also being at the Rise too. People kind of thought you were Nicole Matthews from the Canadian Ninjas. Did you take that as offensive? Did you laugh about it? What's your
It's
thoughts
really
about it?
funny because I've heard that before actually. The first time I ever went up to Canada, I had people at the promotion ECCW that she's worked for tell me that I look like Nicole Matthews from like a few years ago. I've heard that before, and I get a kick out of it. I think it's funny because I mean I don't take it as an insult at all because she's really good at what she does.
Plus, she'd been the Shimmer champion at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and also the Shimmer Tag Team champions. I think multiple times, I believe.
Exactly. So I don't take anything like of offense to that because she's done so many amazing things, and I personally don't see it, but I have heard it from a lot of people before.
Has she ever contacted you, by the way, like in social media? Is like, oh, it's like, you're trying to be a copycat to me in some way, or tweeted you is like, oh, look, there's a twin of mine in the wrestling business.
No, I've never heard anything about it from her before. She's someone I've never heard it from. I've heard it from like other wrestlers, or I've heard it from like other people, but I've never heard anything about it from her before.
But again, it gives you a laugh. It's like, well, thank you. It's like, but to you, when you somebody told you you were Nicole Matthews, like, it's like, who's this person? It's like, did you already know who she was before?
I knew who she was because I had met her once or twice before. Someone had brought it up to me, so I knew who she was, and so I kind of thought it was funny from like the start because I had met her before.
Then you heard that too when you were at Rise too, correct?
I did, yeah. I heard it from a couple people when I was at Rise too.
Was that the wrestlers or were the fans who kind of told you about that?
I heard it from other wrestlers that knew her. They said that I looked like a mini version of her.
You should have took advantage of that. It's like, wow, that can stand me out. It's like I'm a miniature of another wrestler. Like, cool, and then I can run through this thing. It's like I want to see how long it can last.
It's definitely something I've thought of because I've heard it since I started wrestling. So I've heard it for a couple years now. So it's kind of like an ongoing theme that I have right now.
Now, I can expect that, like, you have your, like, a ring gear. It's, like, similar to Nicole Matthews, but then you have your own little type of style. Or have her tag team partner, Portia Perez. Probably you tweet Selena Gomez, like, hey, Selena Gomez, you want to be my tag team partner? We can recreate the Canadian Ninjas version 2.
It never was, like, how my gear, it never was like I've seen hers, so I kind of wanted to copy it. It's kind of a coincidence, really, because I have a friend that draws my gear up for me, so it's kind of a coincidence that if it looks similar to hers.
Your style of gear is very simple. You only have, like, the simplest colors. Like, it's like, is that kind of reason you want to be starting off simple? Again, you've only been there for 2 years in wrestling business. Like, then you start off, okay, you're finding your peak. Like, you're trying to figure out a character to yourself, or you already have a character.
I definitely am still trying to figure out who I really am as a wrestler. So I like to have simple, just like basic colored gear. I like to just have the simpleness, because then I can tweak it if I want to. I can add anything to it if I want to once I start finding out more of who I am as a wrestler.
And do you prefer being the heel or the face, where you don't care what role you play?
I definitely prefer being a face to a heel, because like, I'm a small person. I'm definitely an underdog, like, looking at me, and that's just, like, who I am is more of a face. I'm just, like, quiet, shy, like, small little girl. It's, like, I like being a face. That's more of who I am.
And plus, again, I see you in person. You're very small, and when you were fighting against Ruby Race, and I was gonna say, you fought a girl who's very tough and who's very taller than you and bigger than you, and you're like, I can still compete regardless. You have that the underdog heart.
That's definitely how I like being. I like going against people that are, like, bigger than me or that are, like, stronger than me, because I have that fight in me where no matter how many times they knock me down, I'm still gonna get right back up out of it.
What else can I say? Well, that's about it for now. So for first time wrestling fans see you, where can they follow you, or where can they see you at the next wrestling promotions?
Well, if anyone wants to follow me, my Twitter is at Hawlee Layne, which is like my name plus Bulbasaur. And then if they want to follow me on Instagram, it's at the Hawlee Layne. And my next match in the Pacific Northwest is on February 25th in Oregon at DOA. And so yeah, that's the next place that people can come and see me if they'd like to.
You kind of say Bulbasaur. Are you telling me you kind of follow Pokemon?
I do. I definitely am a Pokemon fan.
Aren't you also a fan? I want to say, are you a fan also of Japanese anime?
Oh, I definitely am a fan of Japanese anime.
Let me guess. Sailor Moon, is that your favorite? Inuyasha?
I mean, you're not wrong. I definitely watch, like, Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, Naruto. Those are the main ones that I go by.
What? I was going to say, you could have a gimmick with the Japanese anime, convert it into the American style in a way.
That's definitely something I thought of, and that's why I like the bright colored gear, because it makes me feel like kind of like an anime character.
See, there is some type of character in there, and the gimmick, I kind of see it.
Yeah, I definitely like the bright colors, because it makes me just feel like a superhero, like, anime character.
And then it's like, then you will never do black at all. It's like, I'm not gonna have black hair until you turn heel.
I thought of black, and if I have black, it'll probably be like a shiny or like a sparkly black with, like, colors into it.
And then you probably have your future logos, like little Hawlee Layne logo in the future. Probably it'll be a Japanese anime of yourself. Your eyes sparkly in the way.
I actually have one like that my friend that drew my gear drew up for me.
So all your gear is from your friend. You've been doing from the first day till now.
Yeah, she was the person that I had do it originally from the beginning. I needed someone to do gear for me, and I posted on social media, hey, does anyone want to draw something up for me? And she was the first person that responded, and she came up with my gear that I wore at Rise, and I absolutely loved it, and so I've just stuck with her.
Yeah, actually, it did stand out because people were like, yeah, that girl. Well, yeah, it's not your size, but it was the colors. Like, it's always have like bright colors directly to you. That's why like McDonald's has bright colors, the red and yellow. It stands out. It's like, oh,
it attracts the eye.
exactly. All right, Hawlee. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming for SoCali Wrestling, and hopefully I will see you again in California. We're probably around the California region, probably Arizona, Nevada, or probably East Coast. We see you more in the pay-per-views like Shimmer, Shine.
I would definitely love to do all of that. That's definitely one of my goals.
Thank you so much, Hawlee Layne.
Of course. Thank you for having me.